The two by-elections held this year have delivered record-breaking results. ABC election analyst Anthony Green says the swing of 18.6% in Stafford last Saturday is the biggest against a government since optional preferential voting was introduced 22 years ago. The Premier will be live in the studio shortly, but first, the man who was sacked as Assistant Health Minister and then resigned his seat, forcing the Stafford by-election. I spoke to Dr Chris Davis earlier today. Chris Davis, what do you think of the concessions the Premier has made?
Too little, too late, and a great deal of lost opportunity as a result.
Now, you were sacked over doctors' contracts, breaking cabinet solidarity, and you said at the time that you also raised electoral donations as a big concern. No change there.
Clearly, that was one of the factors, but of course the issue that it was quite clear had been the matter in Parliament just prior to my sacking was the CMC changes. I'd not only been listening to my electorate on that matter, but we'd also had the poll which showed that over 70% of people were opposed to the removal of bipartisan appointment of the CMC head, as to only about 10% who were in favour of it. So that was a very clear message. The Premier could have taken on that message before sacking me or even after sacking me as part of the actual election.
And you're saying he knew that strength of belief in the electorate before the by-election? Absolutely.
I mean, the Treasurer on the Friday following my raising it in Parliament had acknowledged that, in fact, he'd heard it, that we're a very broad church in the Liberal Party, and yet, despite that statement, he was there on the Tuesday with the Premier to sack me. So the message was absolutely known, and according to the Premier, of course, these matters get discussed in Cabinet as well. So the entire Cabinet, presumably, were party to this decision to sack me.
And in between you raising that as an issue and him changing his mind on that issue, we obviously had an expensive by-election. Do you think that money could have been saved?
Oh, a whole lot of things could have been saved. The seat could have been saved for the LNP, my wonderful electorate staff who'd lost their jobs, the inconvenience to the people of Stafford, and now the $500,000 I'm told that it cost to have a by-election. And it would be a nice gesture of ministerial accountability and cabinet accountability to see them actually reimburse the taxpayers of Queensland for that money.
What, the members of Cabinet?
Absolutely. 19 of them times into 500,000, $26,000 each. Pretty straightforward.
I guess the argument could be made that you should also fork out some money for the by-election because you were the one who quit.
I was the one who had to make way for the people of Stafford to shine the light themselves.
Are you still a member of the LNP?
I have submitted my resignation.
When did you do that?
I did that today.
By letter, phone call?
By the email system.
Right. Any word back?
No, not yet. But clearly we have seen such a major departure in terms of the expectation relative to the policies and promises we made going into the election. And so the disillusionment is very widespread, clearly within the broader electorate, but even so within so many other members who were very proud and pleased to vote LNP at the last election.
So given that fact, is there a political career ahead of you as an independent perhaps at the next election?
It's a dedication to Queensland that still drives me, and if there's an opportunity for me to continue working as part of a team that is focused on that more than things like asset sales and simply digging up resources and exporting them, I'm very keen to actually make myself available.
You say a team. Are you interested if the Labor Party approached you?
I'm very happy to have that discussion.
So you're keen to run for Labor. Which seat?
We're a very long way from even considering the potential for running for Labor.
Can't run for Stafford, obviously.
I can't, but indeed I would be happy to enter into discussions. That hasn't even occurred.
Haven't met anybody from Labor yet?
Oh, I've had some informal discussions with Labor, but I've certainly not had any.
Chisholm, the State Secretary?
He and I have had an informal chat, yes.
And has he offered you any pre-selection chances?
All we've done
Was he receptive to your idea?
All we've done is open the investigation of the potential, nothing else.
He wants you to run in Ashgrove, doesn't he?
It's still quite clear that there is the the interest in actually having Kate Jones, and clearly that's her call.
OK, if Kate Jones wasn't available, would you like to run against the Premier?
It's not a matter of against the Premier. It's just that I have an affinity with the people of Ashgrove, having been the adjacent electorate. I have many friends and colleagues in the electorate of Ashgrove. I believe the people of Ashgrove have the same values and expectations as the people of Stafford. So that's why there is a natural affinity, I believe, between what I did in Stafford and what I could potentially do in Ashgrove. At the end of the day, there's an enormous amount to still be done in terms of even seeing whether Kate Jones, it's her right, she's extremely well known there, and as I understand it, she's making a decision in relation to work-life balance, having a very young family. And that's the only issue. And then, of course, if there was even the option.
All right, Chris Davis, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Matt.